Boruto episode 52, Sasuke Shadow. So finally, we have made it to the Boruto movie arc. Officially, by the end of this episode, we are in the arc. That very ending clip is literally the beginning of the Boruto movie. And it was really crazy because after, right before I was doing this, I was like, all right, we finally made it. New opening, new ending, and I'll talk about that too. But it was like, man, this took a minute. And so I was thinking, because I always had this thing in my head, I was always like, for some reason, I was like, there's 58 weeks in a year. That's wrong. There are 52 weeks in a year. It's 52 point something. Like, I literally just looked it up on Google because I was like, I want to know exactly how long it took. It took over a year for us to finally get to the Boruto movie stuff. Because we did have, I know for sure there was 1 week I remember we didn't have an episode. So that's like, it's been 53 weeks. But it's legitimately, since this show has started, it has taken us a year to get from the beginning of the series to exactly what most people have already seen, or at least read at this point if you read the manga. And it's just like, holy crap, it took forever. Tons of fillers. Some good stuff too, going through like the beginning, kind of boring elements of the, really the whole first season. And then it's like, all right, things are starting to kick up. There's this mystery of the whole eye power and stuff like that, which is from the manga but doesn't show up in the movie, so they have to make all these explanations, retconning stuff, adding characters in like Iwabe and Denki and showing them during flashbacks where they weren't there in the manga versions. And it's like, okay, cool. Got some cool story arcs here and there. We got the hit and miss stuff was actually pretty freaking sweet. A bunch of just random people suddenly had kids out of nowhere. This is this person's grandkid, this person's son or something, which still doesn't make sense how that was Kisame's son. But that's apparently real. So cool story arcs here and there. Then they had, Sada's arc, which of course was just ripped straight from the manga, so of course that was like 100% perfect. Gave us what I still consider to be like the best song in the show was Sada's ending. That's still my favorite song in the whole series so far. And it was like, all right, we got some cool stuff, got some epic moments here and there. We got to see some people do some cool stuff. Then it went back to, the regular series, and after that, it was kind of just them building up towards the Genin stuff. That was cool. The Genin exams were pretty sweet. It was like, all right, I like that. Some other little moments sprinkled in here and there, they were actually good. Shikadai had like his own little mini arc. Enjoyed that whole thing. Last couple episodes had our fillers and whatnot. And now it's like, we are finally here. This is the first episode of it. We have our new opening, our new ending. Opening sucks. I just don't like the song. It's probably like my least favorite opening song that we've had, and they've just gotten worse and worse. It's like the very first opening was just like, this is, it's like at least somewhat, the rhythm I can get behind it a tiny bit. I don't like the song, but it's like, it's meh. And then after that, it just declined. Like, I didn't have any issues really with the last one. I always skipped it. It was just like, this just doesn't sound like anything to me, so I just always skipped the song. The endings, I feel a little, like I said, I think the Sada ending is still my favorite one. But after that first ending, I think they all kind of picked up after that. And I like the ending more than I like the opening as well. So it was always, I like the endings more than the openings. And that has definitely continued because I really do not like this opening. I just listened to it and I was just like, this just doesn't sound good, like, at all. It didn't seem to fit. The song itself, if I'm being totally honest, I love the visuals. It was the song itself. Like, the last one, I felt, at least watching this, there was sort of, that normal, basically just general, any series when it's animated, typically the opening is like, oh, you have this song, the animation matches the song. Even if it's like a weird, crazy song, you match the song because that's what makes stuff work. Like, when you have any sort of video, you match it, whether, live action or animated. If it's a music video, you have it match the song. Or if it's like a really crazy song, then you have like really crazy visuals that, the style is at least the same, and even if it doesn't necessarily match the beat of the music, stylistically it matches. And it was just neither of those things. Like, everything was just happening, and the music was like half rhythm, but then it was like, oddly enough, it was like the English stuff coming into the song is what threw it off because it didn't sound good. And normally it sounds perfectly fine to me when I hear like English and Japanese songs, but it just didn't flow. Like, a perfect example, honestly, would be the last ending where there's English, like, very little compared to this opening, but it was like, okay, well, it totally fits, like, right at the end there. It's the little parts where it pops up. It sounds good with the Japanese music. And with this, it just sounded like, there's Japanese, and then, boom, here's just some English stuff, and it just doesn't it didn't seem to work, and it just didn't sound good in general to me. Visuals, like I said, I thought were great. I was like, cool. It's it's the Boruto movie stuff. Everything looked good. Same goes for the ending. I thought the visuals were actually really pretty there. Like the visuals look like cool in the first, and in the opening, they look really, like cool action shots. And at the end, it's like beautiful action shots. If that's a great way to put it. And I was like, I like that. Ending song, I thought was way better. I actually liked the ending song. I like this ending song. I think I like more than the last one. Like it was a slower song, but I was like, actually, yeah, like I felt more attached to that song than the last one, even though I thought the last one was actually really catchy. And I decided, I was like, before I forget, I actually looked it up before doing the review, so I'm gonna listen to it as I'm uploading this, because I was like, I'll forget, if I let it go for an extra week, I'll forget to look up the song, like the full version. But I like that song. I like Sauter's ending. I like this current ending. But the opening, I was just like, visuals, super cool. Song itself, kind of hate it. So it's just like, they just seem to be getting worse and worse with the openings, and the endings are just like, if it was just reversed, I mean, it kind of wouldn't fit. But I was just like, man, all these ending songs should be hidden like right at the beginning. Like all the ending songs are so good. Those bands and those artists should be the ones getting the promotion right off the top of the episode. And it's just like, that's unfortunate, because all the songs I don't like are the ones getting promoted to like everyone who watches at the very beginning. Um, obviously, I'm sure most people watching it probably do watch the whole episode, but it's just like, when it premieres in Japan, not everybody gets to see it, and then so, you have just like that first opening song hitting you, and it's just like, ugh. At least to me, personal preference. Episode itself, because I'm just talking about the openings at this point, but the episode itself, thought was cool, very simple. Really, nothing happened. Like they did like a little bit of storytelling, and it was totally fine. It was just like an action episode. They went through. First, they got beat up by the White Zetsu. Then Konohamaru was like, this thing is super tough. This is what's happening. You guys don't know everything, but here's like, a little bit of exposition for, the newcomers to the series. And then it's like, all right, here's the plan. This is what we're going to do. And then they do a pretty cool tie-in. This is like the one part where, story-wise, it was like, all right, they're getting some ties here. So Boruto has a flashback after, they go through the plan and it's working. He has a flashback to him talking with the doctor where he's like, at some point, people will realize your strength. They'll see how strong you really are. And he's like, it's weakened. If I do it now, I can get this thing, and, that'll help, my team realize how powerful I am. And I was like, I like that element. It was him being reckless, but it wasn't just, like Naruto attention style. It was him kind of coming into his own a little bit, and it's still kind of like what Naruto did with wanting to have attention, but he knew like he already has like this position as a bit of a prodigy anyway, so it's like I can say I'm powerful in my own right, not just because I'm the natural born son of the Hokage. So I like that idea. I was like, all right, that felt natural. It was a nice moment. Naturally, it failed. I knew that was gonna happen, but it wasn't that crazy. It failed. Clones get taken down. He's slammed on the ground, and then they have to fight this thing, and naturally it ends exactly how I thought it was going to. I was like, I know the plan. They're gonna distract it. I was like, I wonder what Konohamaru is gonna whip out to destroy this thing, and of course it's the Rasengan. But it was still cool to see it. He drops down on him. Classic. They always do like the dive bomb move when like every time they bust out the Rasengan, like, and it's the last hit, it's always like from the very top. It's either that or it has to be that very direct hit. But typically it's that dive bomb move when they make it like super, super special. So he drops down on him, and I think he did the Odama Rasengan because it was the regular size, and then as he's going through, it's like, this is the technique passed down. In the subtitles, I could have sworn it said the third Hokage, which I thought was weird. But it said, the professor and then Lord Seventh. And then it like expands, and I was like, oh, I think he technically did the Odama Rasengan, but he didn't say it. But I was like, oh, well, that's cool. They destroy the whole thing. Everything's nice and simple. Everything's done. Then they go through and they find out that when they get through that next portion, Sasuke had already been there. He was doing a super cool Sasuke thing. Killed all of them. The one thing that confused me is how the Amaterasu was burning them, but it didn't burn through them. I thought that was the weirdest thing, because I'm like, that we've literally seen the Amaterasu, it's basically a magic fire. Like, it's fire that literally burns out fire. Like, we've seen that happen. And for some reason, and that could just be a part of the control that he has, I haven't seen that as a thing, but it was just continuously burning, but it didn't destroy the White Zetsu. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I've never seen that before. And it was burning the first White Zetsu that they found, and it was like stabbed through with a part of the tree, but the tree wasn't burning, and I was like, I've never seen that happen before, but I'm sure that's probably somewhere in the light novel, like Kakashi's new Purple Lightning. That's in the light novel. That's not in any like the one shots or anything. So it's probably in there somewhere. I just didn't know that he had that sort of control over it, and plus it was a little purple. It wasn't 100% black. But that was cool, and they're all just burnt up, and it's like, well, thank goodness Sasuke did it because we would have been screwed. And then they do another great tie-in to the Boruto movie arc, which is Konohamaru was like, yeah, Sasuke did all this stuff. He took them all out by himself, and he is the one ninja that Lord Seventh considers his actual rival. Like, and then Mitsuki jumps in and he's like, yeah, I heard that from my parent, and it was like, he is basically like the supreme ninja who basically guards the entire village, but from the shadows. So he's like the other side of that coin. And that's when Boruto is basically just like, I'm totally in love with Satoru's dad now. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a cool way to kind of sprinkle that in there. And that's why he, starts to want to learn from somebody else. And that's kind of how that starts to go. So I was like, cool, that's a nice little way to do that, where he's interested now in Sasuke and is like, hate my dad. Why not learn from his rival who's even more powerful than him, like the supreme ninja? So I was like, that's a cool way to do that. And I'm just excited. We're getting into the Boruto movie stuff. Like I said, the actual ending clip was the opening to the movie. So I was just like, it's finally happened. It literally took over a year for us to get here, but it's finally freaking here. So I'm happy for that. I'm excited to see where we go. The manga comes out monthly, so now they're probably going to really start kicking up those fillers. I mean, they're still, doing the movie stuff now, but it's just like, oh crap. And it's going to be expanded because we do have that third character, and it's in the ending, when they have like the three characters show up in portraits, it's the character that's on the left. So when they go through the different fights, I want to say the very first one is the character I want to say it's Dauri and Gaara fighting that character. That's the new character. That person was not in the movie. That was the one that they had to, cut for time. So that's the brand new character. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out. And, the character that wasn't in the ending, that's the new character. That's probably an easier way to put it. The two characters that were there in the ending of this episode were in the movie. And then the other character that isn't, I'm curious how that person is supposed to show up, because knowing the story of the movie, it's so tight knit. I'm like, how are they going to spread this out? Because, and I'm not going to spoil it, but the way they do some of the action, it's kind of just like boom, boom, boom. There's not a lot of time to just, spread it out. So I'm very curious how they're going to do that. Of course, with the tuning exams coming in and them adding in the new characters. The one character we see with the sand, well, I won't spoil it actually. But it's, it's metal sand, so you can probably imagine where that character comes from. Can't wait to see that character fight. I love the design, and it's just like, I just want to see that character in, anime form. So looking forward to that, but we're going to get to see, some of the fights we saw from the movie. They skip a ton of fights in the manga, so they'll probably add in like all of that stuff for extra filler content, which I'm fine with, because in the movie I was like, man, I wanted to see all these people fight, because that was when it first came out. So now we might actually get to see all those characters actually go through the tuning exams and see all their different battles. And I'm totally okay with that, as long as it looks cool. I think it will, because when this show like kicks up the action, it actually does it right. So I'm excited for the tuning exams, but I'm just happy we're finally freaking here. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And consider we're going into the Boruto movie arc, finally. My main question is really, what do you guys think of the new opening and ending? I normally don't care that much. It's always something to reference, but it's just like, man, I feel like the openings legitimately have just gotten worse and worse, and I just start to hate them. And then the endings are just like, I just like the endings. The openings just suck. So I want to know what you guys think about the new opening and the new ending. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.